Hey, what's up, guys? Legends recap from last week. I'm a little bit behind on. If you guys remember, I was face to face with our opposition. There was, what was there? So yeah, there were seven people, and there was around 20 of us. As we come to find out, there was one male, one female SS3, and then the rest are all twos. The most powerful one is this Persian looking guy, and his name is Noctis, and he's like the leader of this little pirate gang. They're called the Red Sun Saviors, and I come to find out later that his older brother Nasus is a second of Zuru, and he is like the absolute leader. But like we're kind of this is the cell that's assigned to take down his younger brother, who is not that he's. I mean, he's in his looks like he's in mid 50s, so he's probably like 80, 90 years old by Saiyan standards. And he's wearing this big awkward contraption of a giant bear that looks like it's made of like it's like very gray. And whenever like Mira and her team start to like negotiate or not like to kind of like talk this guy down, I thought they said they want the Nasus, and I'm thinking, oh, this gray bear thing is the Nasus, and I was like, well, I kind of want the Nasus too. I want to see what this gray bear that this guy awkwardly wears on his back's all about. Maybe it's got a bear spirit in it. Maybe Emrys could get a deal with his bear spirit. Uh, that all to be said, that they started the negotiations in air quotes, basically like, you need to surrender, you need to come with us. Like Mira apparently works for Solo in some way. Kato apparently does too. Both of them kind of found their place in the world, you know, Solo being like the SS5 of the Arcanians, and being Sarichia the Phoenix's eldest child, his son. You know, he's the one that's kind of coming back, but he's still untested, largely. So he's got his little following. He's got his little things that are like law enforcement and everything like that. Even though he's not like the proper like leader of the actual system, so it's like there's some weird stuff going on. Like you're just literally doing this in this dude's name at this point. Like the son of a leader, or a former leader. Like, and you know it begs the question, the whole, what about the people who have maintained the empire in Sarichio and Solo's absence? Like, do you just get rid of them because the king's son came of age? Like, are we a monarchy like that? Who knows? A little, it's like a little political question that went unanswered, but like, I think it was like nicely woven in without, like, you know, it's like it kind of like leaves up for that interpretation of like, well, which way to go. And I think the DM even said something about it at some point. And I was like, well, DM, like, Emrys is like on the business side, so like he understands, like, oh, listen, these people have put like time, money, energy into maintaining the empire, and like just to have the king's son show back up, and like no one elected this dude or anything like that. So, but you know, it's like Solo is who Solo is, and he has his own reputation. Anyway, back to the fight. Needless to say, negotiations don't go well. About 2/3 of the way through, I did mask up. It was Mira, this dude, Digon, and where was the other chick? It's not Akane because that was the enemy. I had her name, but maybe I didn't write it down in all the because it was like a crazy fight thing, and I think the DM gave it to me, and I must have forgot it. But the the other chick who's with us, and she's like a, is she the Asian one? Bad notes. I'll have to look back at it, but anyway, like I gave it to her, I gave it to Mira, I gave it to Kato, and I gave it to, or no. Oh no, so it is five. Yeah, so it was the three twos and then Kato and I. And they're still talking at this point, and part of me is like, I wish we would get to it, but like the other part of me is like, listen, the if it's gotta waste some time at the start of it, and like that's something I was explaining to the DM because this comes into play later too. I was like, with the Harlequin mask and the speed bonus it gives like my biggest fear is holding on to it too long and then getting like snuck. Like it's like, oh, that person was just too fast to you. So it's like if you have to burn some time talking, but just know like you're on a timer. So when you see this thing come around you, like that's gonna be your best opportunity, but it's gonna disappear. So negotiations finally break down. Noctis, he's like a cocky dude and everything like that. And the first thing he does is that bear turns to like this giant wave of ash that would probably cover like Lygos for, but we're on a bigger planet. We're on Lane's planet, and I have it up there further, but I'm not gonna look it up for the sake of this because I just have it in my notes. This is one of those weird gas giant things. It like I had brought out because like whenever people were like doing like all kinds of weird things when they were not powering up, everyone was kind of powered up and engaged, but like people were starting to do like their because there's a lot, most of the people there, I think all the people there were Arcadian Saiyans, so they were starting to do their magic stuff too, in addition to the traditional Saiyan stuff, and this like explosive ash like washes over the area, and I get out of the explosion of it, but it still hits me, and it charges my matrix up pretty significantly. I don't think I can't remember if I started with no, I think I started with just the regular matrix because I used the diamond one later, and so like I'm like kind of supercharged up right now, ready for that big punch. And like I said, I have my Colossus armor out, and that makes me like a good bit stronger and more durable. So like I'm kind of a nasty two right now. Like I'm one of those twos like that's gonna be a problem for if I get up on you. But I'm also very very fast because I have the Harlequin mask up. So I get out of the ash, and it's like multi-purpose. The heat energy that it expelled is enough to like damage you, but it's not like one of those things where it's like gonna one hit KO you or knock you out. I think it's like more of a weakening technique, and then beyond that, it obscures your senses. And the next thing it does is even worse, but we'll get to that because I think the order of events is a little off from the next thing that it does. So I get out and I fly back in to the ash. Oh, like I'm horrified by this stuff because of the Mitsukaru incident, and I don't want to get any of it into me. So like I'm looking to like dart in and out, take deep breaths, and not stay in there for a long period of time. So I'm like, oh man, like I don't know what this stuff does. I wasn't briefed on it. I like if I get it inside of me, like is it gonna do the same thing like where Mitsukaru turns into volcanic glass and just cuts me up from the inside? Because that would be terrible. So I get back in and I spot my first Saiyan, and I was like, all right, DM. So I use the hammer in my offhand, and I use it to boost my speed another 2x on top of it. And this is something I wasn't sure about because I think the DM was doing some stuff. Is I'm not sure where the multipliers how they act. So like if it's an additive multiplier, so like let's say I have 5x speed and then 2x from the hammer, and then I have like my flash step and everything like that. Is like does that mean I go from 5x to 7x, or is it a multiplicative multiplier? Was it because it's a magical item that I take my final speed and straight up 2x it? And in that case, that the Harlequin mass turns from a 5x to a 10x, which is more desirable. But I'll ask the DM about that a little bit more later. Either way, it makes me faster. So I get up on this guy. He's doing some technique with some other Saiyans. He's got them like roped up in this weird energy thing, and he's swinging this guy around who's he's caught with the energy and everything. Like he's basically doing his Arcanian Saiyan thing, messing with other twos. He's got like three other twos like kept busy and everything like that. And I was like, DM, we channel energy into the hammer. Which again, like I channel it to like boost my speed for a short duration. And then I was like, and then we flash step when we get up to him, where I do like that thing of the it's usually like a feint step where you get at him, and then like you get an angle, and then you just that you close the gap in that last instance. And like I caught him completely by surprise as he's like attacking the others. I bang hit him square in the chest. And this is what I was telling Sean last night, is I was like, man, I hope like I just like I hope I take him out of the fight. I hope I knock him out, like, because I don't know if I've ever hit someone charged up like this at my level. Well, it turns out that I explode the guy. Like his his arms, his legs, they separate from his torso, and then his torso just kind of like explodes. And then like the vacuum of like Super Saiyan 2 energy that coursed through his veins, like I think also detonated. And it's just like to actually hit someone with raw physical strength that hard, that's a defeat on itself. But to do it to an equal level opponent who's also a warrior race that are known for their durability and strength like that is insane. And I think that was one of those ones where I was like, it harkened back to the moment when and I was in that movie with Nexus and we were fighting Elder's Bane, and I think like he had one of those matrices charged up with a hit, and I landed a hit on Elder's Bane, and like the force of the thing, the shockwave shattered a moon behind us. Like not like a close, like we weren't fighting on the moon, it was just behind us, and the force of the hit like shattered the moon, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like Everest hits like really really hard, and like I said, like to be able to like here's the way I look at it. It's like Mitsakaru one shot of three, and that was insanely impressive. But two things happened. She kind of snuck that three. She basically daggered in the back him, but she also used a molten blade to do it, which with like some very insane magical properties when it comes to destruction. Like to me that was impressive. I was like, oh shoot, like just imagine like working your whole life to get to three and then just getting one shot, essentially, like where you get like stabbed so nasty that you just go down and don't get back up. And I think his whole body turned to ash after that. Like yeah, it was like it had like there was no like he fell over bleeding or anything like that. Like it may not turn to ash, but like he had like this weird ashy effect over his body. So it was a very nasty one shot of an equal level. Like there's a gap between like high level, mid level, and everything like that, but it's not insurmountable. But to one shot like what we'll call an equal level opponent like that with a technique is vicious. To do it with a punch is frightening, especially given the race that we are. So I personally have reading a lot into that. Like we could like come out the later to find out this dude had a glass jaw or something like that or whatever. But still, to basically take a super being out with a single punch is pretty insane. So I bang punch that guy, go right through him, and then shoot out the other side because I don't want get out of that ash stuff because the ash cloud's still there. And like I said, it's still doing its thing of obscuring things and like messing with senses, making it hard to see, difficult to sense. So like I'm basically going by visuals of the limited visual range I have in it. Like I can't like sense, I can kind of sense, but I can't get like a good like read or lock on the fights that are happening. So as I'm dashing back in with a fresh breath of air, I get attacked by this like weird ash reaper looking thing, and then I come to the realization that that's the third thing that this ash technique does is it summons these like reaper things. So I'm thinking like this guy's probably a death magic user. I didn't get to see what happened if one of these things hits you, but they swing this scythe in like kind of a very deliberate but still very scary kind of way. Like they're like close to me in speed, which if they're close to me in speed means they're faster than a lot of other people. And I come to find out that it feels like there's more fights going on than there should be. So this guy Noctis is able to create more of these things and basically put the numbers to his side. Which I'm like, oh shoot! So like, we need to get rid of this guy really quick. And I think I do some techniques like, oh, so I'm bringing in pillars with me this time, like, so because I expended my big charge hit, because like I think I explained before, is I work like Bishop from X-Men, but I think Shaw had said like there's two people, like Sebastian Shaw and someone else, that like that can store energy and turn it into kinetic, so like a physical hit, like that's who I operate like. So I was like, I expended my big hit, and I'm not like charged up from anything yet. So I was like, okay, we go for our next second most vicious technique, the pillars, and I start training. I think 5 pillars behind me, and I think I use one to get rid of the first Reaper. And not that I got rid of it, like I just blew it away. Like I got it out of my face so I can keep going. And I think a second one attacked me, and I did like some techniques and maneuvers to get to basically do the same thing, to blow it away. I'm not sure whether or not I destroyed it. I don't think I did. I think I was just more looking, because I was like, DM, listen, my thought process is here is like, let me take down the tangible opponents, and then we'll work on the intangible ones together as a team. Like the quicker I can do that, the better, because like fighting fighting summons like that, like especially things that seem like made of almost like an inanimate ash like that, like that are tied to probably Noctis's energy in some way, like that's a poor use of energy, in the grand scheme of things, like if it can be avoided, and when sometimes it can't be avoided. So I'm going back in looking for the next thing, and I sense like Kato is out there doing some weird thing where he's bouncing around to all these different like Reaper things, and apparently he's got a lot of them kept busy. Whereas like I'm just kind of avoiding my, oh yeah, Kato, do your thing and everything like that. I was like, I sense for the next two, the DM, and out of nowhere, the other three that's with Noctis, who I kind of shortchanged her because she had a lot of like going on at the start of the session, like the talk and everything like that. Like she's got this big sword, she's got this single angel wing that comes out of her side, Sephiroth style. I later find out her name is Akane, and she's kind of nasty. But she like has her own level of trash talk, and she's like the Noctis's second and everything like that. I still maintain she's probably the more vicious opponent, especially 1-on-1, or maybe even 2-on-1. But like Noctis is like the big area of effect dude. She's just like the vicious fighter. I didn't see Noctis fight. I'm sure Noctis isn't a slouch like when it comes to fighting. Not by any stretch of the imagination, but we'll get into that. So she grips Kato by the neck, and I think he takes like a bad hit from her, and I was like, oh shoot, DM, like I change of plans, like I go after the three, and it's like it's one of those ones like as a player, like you definitely shrink a little bit because you're like, I'm about to go find a three again, and the three, like I said, as much as I like the bravado of like, yeah, bring me your threes, I'll fight up, no problem. It's not that I fight up to win. It's like you fight up to the, hopefully you can buy enough time that other people around you can help you and then overwhelm them. Like it's not like, I think like, yeah, I guess that's not fair, because Kato and I like beat some like level 3 cosmic people together, where we just like manhandled them. But like fighting like level 3 Saiyans, like it's a different story, because they have like that tenacity, and because like a lot of times, like especially if they're anywhere near log form, they have that ability to like expend their power and then bring it back up from like a reservoir. That's one of the ones, like I don't think, unless you can somehow like render a 3 like that unconscious, like you never win, because like my ability to hang with them even in a limited scope is like so much more energy dependent. Like it's so much more, I have to burn so much more energy to be able to do it, which makes sense because I'm a 2. And it's not like, it's just, what sense would the 3 form be if some 2's out there like just keeping up with you for free. So yeah, it was. It's just like that disheartening thing. Like I'm about to go fight another three, and I feel like Kato and I are kind of making a name for ourselves in a way of like, or maybe even not, maybe not Kato, because like Kato for sure is like Everest's thing, but like Everest has been like fighting threes since like his first day, his first day in the game, and he was a one at that time who did grow into a two during that fight. But like it's just like Everest the three slayer at this point. It's like, man, what happens when Everest gets to three? Like, and they're like, yeah, he's gonna have to start fighting second Azurus then. And second Azurus are a whole different level of scary. So that's like, that's frightening. Like threes are like firing blasts that are the end of all things. Like fours are just like eyes roll back in the head levels of power. Like you just, they're so hard to grasp. So it's like hitting three is almost frightening at some point, because then I don't feel like Everest is gonna be like fighting threes anymore. I was like, I'm not ready to start fighting fours. At least they're supposed to be rare though. Anyway, so we start getting in with this three, and she she has like Kato gripped up, and so I send some pillars after, and like I'm basically gonna detonate, and like the idea is Kato knows what they do, so he knows that he's got to get away from the blast wave, but like my distraction is going to give him an opportunity to get away, and it does, but she actually negates my pillar. Like she slices it with that sword, and like it just disappears, and I was like, oh well, that's scary, like because those pillars, like even if they're like destroyed, they do usually detonate, but it's like the energy is a lot less significant unless I like prime it myself. Like I'm basically the primer for those things that makes them like ultra devastating. But like it's one of those ones where even if they do get like sliced or slashed or punched by somebody else and they don't get primed, they still detonate as like a force of ki. It's just like it's significant. You know, it's basically like a very potent ki blast at that point. But it's not like the same level of viciousness as my primed charges. But this one just like vanishes, and I was like, "Oh shoot, what's going on here?" But it does give Kato the option, or the like my distraction of her gets Kato away, and I kind of recognize that his power has dropped significantly from like the blow he took for her, and like her like squeezing the life out of him and everything like that. So I basically put myself between him and her, and he starts to like rip into one of those like Saiyan power up things to like build his power back up, because we're both long form at this point. So him getting knocked down to 50% means he can get back up to 100% a couple times over. Actually, like I can do it like three times over. I don't know how long he can do it, but that's such a vicious thing to be able to do, is like fire out like a blast that takes 50% of your energy and then power back up and still be at 100%. So he's doing that, and she's like checking us out and everything like that, and and kind of doing like the cocky saying thing of like, you guys should give up. Like, what are you what are you two like nutty twos gonna do to me? Like I'm a three. Don't you recognize what I am? Or like that. Like you're just gonna throw your life away. And I was like, good thing for her is she doesn't know who she's dealing with, because Everest has been fighting threes since day one. He's not like the points his finger at you and like I'm coming for you kind of cocky thing. And Everest is just like, listen, I'm just here to help out my friends. Like that's I have no stock, no investment in this, but my friend needs his help right now, so I'm here for him. And and she like stalls it out a little bit, and there's something that happens. I think the original masks fall off, so basically everyone's back at base speed, and I'm about to give the mask to Kato and I again, and I was like, nope, screw it, DM. Like I give 25x to myself. Like I've got to be the conduit for this. We're fighting a three, like the two of us, and I can't be like getting knocked out by this chick. I need like the maximum. I need to be at my max, and hopefully like Kato can fight around me. And Kato is really like I said, like as far as things go, I what's the DM about this long-winded thing of Like Kato's like more of a brother to me in combat than Dakuan is. Now Dakuan and I have had like I think we had like one or two good fights together, but like Kato and I have this like wild synergy where like we kind of like get each other's intentions. Like we're crazy together. Like like the not even like the unspoken bond, I guess you would call it. And he starts doing his like crazy unicorn thing, and he is dumping an insane amount of power into it. And I don't know if you guys remember that, but like he is like summons these unicorn things, and we start doing the unicorn the pillar combo where he basically supercharges those things, and she it's like, what is it, like I lose track of one, and he has this like weird thing he can do with energy that turns it into a shell game where he can like hide one from like visual and like senses spectrum. So it's one of those Mitsukaru sneak techniques, whereas like Everest is a very much like come up and hit you in the face kind of person, like where Kato has like all the weird stuff that comes with like life magics, and I think he is a life magic user. He summons the unicorns and everything like that. But so he's powering up this wild attack, and I basically go out to execute it. And what I try to do is like basically is like do this feint where I'm just looking to get past her. Like I'm looking to like throw a punch, but like not actually connect, and like kind of get her attention onto me, so I can like bring I can basically tow the pillars behind and then like detonate them. She slashes the one, and I was like, oh, cause I think I was down to two at that point, and the one disappeared. I was like, oh, like maybe she did something weird with it, and she slashes the one. And I was like, oh man, well, DM, I guess we go like box out. I was like, wait, Kato did this thing, the where he says, and he did pull that off, and there's like this massive. So I think is about to catch her, and then she slashes it with her blade, and she does like the nullifying thing, and I'm, oh man, I think she did it with the one, and that's what it was. She did it with the one. She nullified. And I was like, oh man, it's over. And then that's when like the hidden one came out, and bang, it hits her. But she goes into this weird like angel wing cocoon state, and like the energy like mixes with her and does all this really weird stuff, like weird ability things, and it it like melds with her, but then she's able to like use our existing techniques. Like, so Kato has this violent field of energy out, and I've got like another some more pillars that I summon, and they start to bind us and like hold us in place. So I was like, oh man, this is really bad. So she gets up on me, and she's like, well, what are the elders seeing you? And I'm just like, I'm there thinking like internally, it's like, lady, I'm here as a 2 fighting a 3, and kind of standing my ground and stuff like that. Like maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe just for a second, I don't know. Consider that. Uh, Maybe that's why they chose me. I'm out here fighting nuts like you, with crazy abilities and stuff, but. Mira comes in and luckily knocks her away. As she's basically like coming up to me with would like to probably kill me at this point, because she's got like I'm basically locked out. Like I can't move with whatever technique she's like bound me with, which is scary. But she's also a 3, so like yeah, she's gonna do scary stuff like that. And Mira comes up, and because I'm thinking like in the back of my head, it's like, actually I didn't think of this when I went into it, but it was like one of those after the fact things. It's like, oh, like what the heck are the other two? Like we were at the advantage when it came to 3s. Like we had 3, they had 2. Why are 2s out here fighting a 3? And that's when I came to the realization is, oh, they took this time to basically gangbang Noctis and like take him out. So now like we bought the time needed to do that, and Mira comes, knocks the other 3 or Akane away, and Daigon comes up and like unbinds me, and I think the other 3, who I don't remember her name right now. She is, man, I'm sad. So sad I don't have her name, because I know the DM gave it to me. Nope, don't have it. She is like dealing with Kato, so I give Daigon looks like he's pretty like not like on his last legs, but like he's definitely beat up. Like he's got some injuries, some internal, external, everything like that. And I quickly like as soon as he unbinds me, like I form like a bunch of stabilizers and just shove them into him, and like he like has that like moment's pause of like what's going on here or anything like that, and then like because he's a three and like there's like this little nutty two here doing like some weird technique that he knows nothing about because I'm not part of his squad, and like you see like his injuries like visually heal and he's just like takes that deep breath. He's like, all right, let's. And I was like, get back into it. I was like, I'll handle things here, and he takes off. So he like the three of them are like fighting the three now. So they undo Kato, and and I go over to Kato, and we like fly over to the fight that's going on, and it's like Mira, other chick, and Daigon are fighting the girl with the sword, and Mira's doing some of her weird chakram stuff, and like she's doing some energy, not like blast techniques, but like you can tell she's like channeling something up as the other two are kind of fighting, and I was like, okay, Kato, I was like, I got an idea. I was like, they're using energy techniques. They don't know that this chick is like all about like using energy techniques against you. So I need you to hit me with your best shot, and I pull out my diamond matrix and I power it up the whole way to 35% of my power, which is a crazy investment for a single technique that's defensive, but then also turns offensive. So like when I exploded that too, I was like I think I was at 5%, because like my base form is 5 to 15%. Maybe it was 15%, but it was either between 5 and 15. And then my diamond form, I can take up to 35%. So I was like, I need you to like hit me, like I need you to like to blast me, point blank, and I'm gonna take it up to the limit just before you overwhelm it, and then I'm gonna go hit the hell out of this person. So we're getting ready to go with our plan, but then it turns out the three of them are just too much for Akane. Like Mira does some weird like chakram thing with this, and basically does like a Mitsukaru style, like punches through her chest, or not chest, abdomen, and like it she like folds into the angel, like she does all this weird stuff with like the angel wing and everything like that, and I never, it's one of those ones like as a player but also as like a character, you never know if it's doing something, if it's because I'm thinking, oh shoot, it's interacting with her energy, like now's the time to do it kind of thing, like we need to get this done, and so I can go out there and hit the hell out of her, and I'm the player is like, what happens when I hit a three with this, like do I break some bones, like I 100% don't explode her or anything like that, but like do I mess her up, do I land a solid hit, do I knock her out, I was very curious to see, but Mira ended the fight before that point, and yeah, we ended up winning. It turns out that Kato and I stepping up to fight the three, maybe not intentionally, but the three noticing Kato, who was like in the thick of it, and then me helping Kato basically juggle the three at that point for as long as we did, gave our three threes a chance to gang up on Noctis and take him down. And we head back to their base. They reach out to my ship with Opal and Rohan and Saya on it right now, and we have a little meetup, and then the rest of the session is basically talking. So like the fight was a win, everything like that, and there's like still the awkwardness of Mira, and like Mira and Rohan just don't, like Rohan doesn't want to be in the same room with her because he's still very like sensitive over what happened and all that good stuff, like her trying to kill him, and I kind of interject on her behalf because she is my sister, and I'm like, listen, like I don't begrudge Mira for like wanting to kill Rohan, like the only issue is I asked her to trust my judgment and she didn't, like that's the issue, like listen, like people, no one's above, like if you're a danger to an entire planet worth of people and like we have to put you down, like even as an ally, like that's something that happens, but it's like it's very, you would do everything in your power to avoid it, but like it's still at the end of the day, like it's a call that you have to make for like to save billions of lives kind of thing, like it's not, or even maybe even it's not only hundreds of millions on some of the smaller planets, it's like, yeah, like that listen, we're not above that because Emrys is a very much like empire first kind of person, like the greater Saiyan race and everything like that is like the most important thing. Not to say he would like throw his friends under a bus or anything like that, but like if it gets backed into that kind of corner of, you know, turn Pan over or we destroy Lagos 4, he's probably turning Pan over. Like, well, no offense, Pan. Like there's a lot of people that live on Lagos 4, and like even though he isn't their like de facto protector or anything like that, like he would still do that to to save the planet. So yeah, there's some tension there, and like the tension is more between like Mira and Saya, just because like of everything that went down. But Saya excused herself, and then Opal, Mira, Kato, and myself basically have a good time talking, and that's how like the session ends, is like the four of us carrying on this fun conversation about what everyone's been up to, how everyone's doing. We talk about like Kato and I like have this really fun conversation about like how Pan's likely gonna surpass me, just because of like her talent and everything like that. And then like he's like, we can't let that happen. And I was like, Kato, listen, man, like you and I are pretty nice. Like we're like, as far as Saiyans go, like we're like borderline prodigy, like maybe not like full on prodigy, but like we're pretty nice, like especially for our neck of the woods and everything like that. But then like people like Ali, who's like a second to Zuru, who I think she was like 24 when we first met her, is like a once in a generation kind of thing, like a once in a generation kind of power and kind of talent. And I said like Pan might be one of those kind of talents where she's already hit second to Zuru at like 21 years old or something like that. No, she was younger than that, I think. Well, anyway, I had like the notes where she turned, but Pan is like one of those the blow ups in power she's had, like speed wise, puts her as one of those people who are special when it comes to like I think like Kato and I, like you would say, like we're talented, like we're like I come from like a pretty strong bloodline. I don't know Kato's bloodline, but Kato is just talented. Like he's a powerful person who like comes up at a pretty surprising rate, because like a lot of these threes and stuff like that you find out about, like they're between like 50 and 90 years old, like they take their entire life to get there, which makes sense. But like then you have like the talented people like Kato and I, like probably Mira and Dakawa and stuff like that. Like it's we're there like the young upstarts in our early 30s who are threes, and then you have like the gifted people who are like I think who would be someone like Pan, and then you have like the generational like brilliance, who I think is someone like Ali, just who can raise like that high that fast is crazy. But there was like a fun conversation we had about that, and like it was like there was that fun back and forth of like, oh, we need to figure out how to do this, and we have some toasts and some drinks, and just have a good old time. And I do want to get more into that, but I gotta hop off here. So we're gonna say like it was just like it was a fun conversation between the four friends, and Opal's there as like you know the fact that like Opal and Emrys are together and everything like that. It's like a funny little a little dynamic, especially with her and Mira, and they're trying to patch things up. But like Kato and Emrys are just there having a good time and everything like that. But that's where the session ended. It was awesome. There was a cool fight, and then like it had like the nice like RP aspect of it where you're getting to hash it out with some people and catch up with some friends. But that was it.